I was there, the day Horus slew the Emperor. 9 words, 1 line, that was all it took. When Dan Abnett, Emperor Praise Him, wrote the opening to Horus Rising in 2006, he wasn't just starting a novel, he was igniting a flame that would burn across galaxies and across decades. That moment was the spark of something colossal, something mythic, a literary odyssey unlike anything the science fiction world had ever seen. This is the story of the Horus Heresy. Not the fictional one, but the real one, the creation of a legend. The Horus Heresy wasn't born in 2006, it was whispered about in codices, hinted at in Rogue Trader era rulebooks, scattered across White Dwarf articles and obscure timelines. It was a footnote, a myth, the cataclysmic fall of the Warmaster Horus Lupercal that shaped everything we know about the grimdark future of the 41st millennium. But Horus Rising made it real, gave it flesh, gave it sorrow, and most of all, gave it humanity. Dan Abnett didn't write about gods in power armor. He wrote about brothers, warriors, dreamers, and its central figure, Garviel Loken, who walked among angels, believed in the truth, and then watched the stars fall. The heresy began with loyalty, with faith, with hope, and it ended in betrayal, madness, and a galaxy in flames. What followed Horus Rising was not a trilogy, not a mini-series, but a literary campaign of such monumental scale that it has no true equal in sci-fi literature. As of 2024, the combined Horus Heresy and Siege of Terra series includes over 60 full-length novels, plus novellas and anthologies. Tons and tons of authors contributed, and the word count surpasses 7 million. The project spanned nearly 2 decades, a marathon of storytelling that required editorial precision, authorial trust, and the unwavering support of a global Warhammer fanbase. It is the single largest shared universe science fiction series ever published, by scale, continuity, and duration. According to Black Library and Warhammer community sources, Horus Rising alone has sold hundreds of thousands of copies worldwide. On Goodreads, the series averages between 3.9 to 4.5 stars per book, with Legion, 1,000 Suns, and The First Heretic being among some of the most beloved. The readership spans the globe. The books have been translated into multiple languages, and audiobook sales have surged with the rise of services like Audible, where fantastic narrators like Toby Longworth and Jonathan Keeble brought the Emperor's Sons to life. Behind the scenes, Black Library orchestrated a massive editorial collaboration, guiding writers through a central plot arc while allowing freedom to explore side stories, perspectives, and sub-factions. The internal lore team worked with authors to keep continuity, clarify canon, and support one of the most ambitious interlocking narratives in science fiction. There was so little room for error, and it's amazing to see just how flawlessly executed the project has been. Leading the charge, we had Dan Abnett, the undisputed king of Black Library, a trailblazer who wrote the first book and set the tone and brought everything to a close with the end and the death. Then we had Graham McNeil, who shaped legions like the Iron Warriors, Thousand Suns, and pivotal arcs in the story. Aaron Dembski-Bowden, whose work brought soul to chaos and tragedy to the traitor legions. Chris Wright, known for his elegant depth and rich explorations of stoic heroes, and John French, who helped craft the Siege of Terra's intricate web. Not to mention all the other fantastic authors, each carving their own corner of the galaxy. We came for the bolters, but we stayed for the tragedy. The Horus Heresy is not just about Space Marine bolter porn. It's about loyalty tested to its limit. It's about Astartes, who were more than just warriors. Mortals who clung to belief in the darkest of times, and demigod primarchs who bled for their legions. It's about brotherhood, and what happens when that bond is shattered. We watch the Emperor's chosen son, Horus, fall to the ruinous powers of chaos and become corrupted by that bastard Erebus. We watched noble Sanguinius sacrifice himself like Space Jesus. We saw Malkador the Sigillite take the Golden Throne in his finest hour. We bore witness to the massacre of Istvan, the betrayal on Calth, Prospero burning, Nicaea, Moloch, and finally, Terra. And through it all, we learned what it meant to be loyal, what it meant to choose between oaths and truth. The Heresy series humanized demigods. It gave voices to remembrancers, iterators, ship captains, serfs, scribes, and civilians. It revealed the cost of galactic civil war. But it wasn't just war, it was the war to define all others. The climactic Siege of Terra series, planned from the beginning, was a literary mega-arc that saw the final convergence of legions, destinies, and madness. It chronicled the battle for the soul of humanity on the surface of the Emperor's vast palace. Each book ratcheted tension to the breaking point. Titles like The Lost and the Damned, Saturnine, and Warhawk depicted every angle of the siege from the walls to the warp. And then, of course, came the end and the death, split into 3 vast tomes to do justice to the final hours of the Heresy saga. When the final book released in 2024, queues formed outside Warhammer stores, pre-orders sold out, forums lit up with speculation. The conclusion, long awaited, delivered what many feared it could not: closure, devastation, and awe. The Emperor finally stood. Horus fell, and the Imperium was born in ash and in silence. We all knew how it would end, but we never knew how it would feel. The Horus Heresy changed Warhammer 40,000 forever. It deepened the universe. It gave myth to the mythos. It gave faces to the names and voices to the dead, purpose to the madness. It transformed a setting. It inspired armies. It revived interest in historical-style wargaming within the 40k universe. It influenced spin-off media, video games, and even the direction of Games Workshop's own product line. As of 2025, the Horus Heresy game system is one of the pillars of Games Workshop's product ecosystem, supported by plastic model lines, dedicated rulebooks, and ongoing campaign supplements, all of which stemmed from the literary foundation. And with a brand spanking new 3rd edition on its way this year, the game is going nowhere. This series didn't just shape a game, it shaped a generation of readers. No science fiction saga has attempted what the Horus Heresy has achieved. And to be honest, none may ever do so again. So to the authors, to the editors, to the lore masters, to the readers who waited years between volumes, to everyone who carried the torch from the first page to the last, we say thank you. This was far more than just a series. It was a pilgrimage. From Horus Rising to the end and the death, we walked with giants. And when the galaxy burned, we watched the stars fall together.
Ave Imperator.